Going to be taking a look at the new Habitat for Humanity website, and we're going to be going through the test version of this site, but everything will function exactly the same once the website is launched. And so we go to testsites.megaphondesigns.com/wp-admin. You do the same thing when the real site is launched, except for it will be habitatspringfield.org. I think that's the web address for this, /wp-admin. And you hit enter, and sorry, I left off the end of that there. There we go. /admin, and then you'll have a username and password. You log in, and what you will see is this dashboard. And we have this nice large dashboard area here, and it's completely useless, so you can ignore that. But what we do have that is useful here is over on the left side we have our navigation area, and this helps us to know what is going to be on the site, how to control everything on the site. We will go through all of these over here in a very brief way first, just so we know what each part of it controls, and then we will go back through with a little more detail, and we can clue you into exactly how to use each part of the website. So we have up here an updates section. Now for updates right now we don't have anything, but there will be times where plugins or themes need to be updated, and you don't need to worry about that. We come in every couple of weeks and we update all of the plugins and the themes, and then that should be taken care of, and that's a timely enough fashion. There's no reason you should really ever need to do that. You certainly could go ahead and do it, and most of the time everything is fine. I'd say probably 499 times out of 500 at least, it's fine. But every once in a while something goes wrong, and so it's a little easier if we do it and then we're right on top of it if something does go wrong. We have posts down here, and you do use posts on this website. They are used for the news section of your website, and we might use them for something else later on, but right now that's how we're using them. The responsive accordion, that's being used for the frequently asked questions page, but you could use it elsewhere later on as well, and it makes it so that you can open a question rather than having everything on the page at once. Then you can just click the question and then it opens up. It gives a little more compact look. We have events, and that's how you control your calendar, and so that's for the calendar page, and we could eventually have widgets that show the upcoming events somewhere on the page. It's not implemented right now, but it would be easy to do if you ever want to do that. The media section, as the name implies, is where we have media at, so that would be photos, PDFs, Word documents, or images, videos, anything of that sort at all will go into this section, but you won't normally access it right there. Normally you access your media as you're needing it within different elements, like a post or a page or a widget. Somewhere else is where you would actually be using it, and you'll understand that more as we go through this. We have forms here, and the forms section is for forms, as the name implies, and it's very easy to use, and we have a few forms on the site right now, and you can make more very easily. We have pages, and the pages are, as the name implies, pages on the website. All the pages on this website are controlled through here, with the exception of the home page, and the blog is not really controlled through here precisely. That'd be the wrong wording, but pretty much just everything but the home page is controlled through this. And the calendar to some extent as well is also not, but we'll go through the details of that. But most pages you can find through the pages section. We don't have comments enabled right now, and so that won't be something that you'll be using at this time. If you want to have comments later on, that's fine. We have Genesis, and you don't need to worry about this section here. It has to do with some more technical things. You can look through it if you want, and if you ever do anything that causes a problem that makes it so there's a mistake of some kind on the website, something breaks down, we can help you out of it, but there's no particular reason you need to look at it. Under Appearance, we have quite a few different items, but there's really only two that we need to worry about for training purposes, and that is the widgets, which control what goes in the footer, the header, and the home page. And then we also have menus, and that is for menus, as you would expect. Plugins are little bits of software that can enhance the site, make it so that it has a little bit greater capabilities of some kind, do some new function, and you're welcome to go search for plugins, and you can do that right through here and find a lot of good plugins. There's also a lot of bad plugins, and we have quite a bit of experience with this, and so we can normally point you in the right direction, and that's probably easier than just going searching on your own. Some plugins will play really nicely with this theme, other ones won't play so nicely, and so if you ever have something new you're wanting the site to do, check in with us and we'll help you through that process. We have users, and users are those people who are administrators for the most part. You can have several other roles as well, but for your purposes it will probably just be administrators, and that gives them access to the site to make whatever changes need to be made. The tools are not really all that useful, nothing within there right now that you would be using. Under settings, these aren't anything you need to look at too frequently. You can look through them, but the settings that are on here really aren't too important for your site. Slider Revolution controls the slideshow on the home page, although it's not really a slideshow precisely right now because it stays as one image. It's still what we use for that, and it's a good system for that, even if we're not rotating out images, and it does give you the capability of choosing to do so in the future if you want to. We can talk more about that here in a bit. And WP Google Map makes it so that you can have a map embedded on your contact page, and we can put that in other places on the website at some point as well. And it's a pretty nifty little program, even though it's doing something rather simple. It's something that could be good for you in other places on the website as time goes on, I'm sure. So we will go back and start from the beginning. And in the beginning we have post. So we'll click here and we'll get to see all the posts that already exist. We're going to make a new one right now though, just so you can understand the basic category. So it says enter title here, and so what you do there is enter the title. So here is a new title, and that will be the name of your page, and it makes it automatically into a web address, and it will be your domain name / a-new-title. And that's all set up for you just fine. When you put any content down here, it works very similarly to what a word processing program would. So we can type lots of text down here, and then we can make it so that this has all the normal formatting you would expect. You can make it bold, italic. You can also use your typical key functions like Control B or Control I, or if you're using a Mac, then Command B, Command I, and we can do all those sort of things on here just like you would on any other program. We can make it a different color, and so we can have some bright orange. We can make it so that we have parts of this that are linked, and so we can make this go to google.com if we want to do that, or we can link to a page within our site just by searching for it. We search, and then we have contact there, and so we add a link to that. We can add images rather easily through this little add media button up here. We have all the images and the PDFs and any other media elements are all in here, and you can scroll through them. You can also search through them. I thought I had something of that sort. Well, I guess not. How about habitat? We'll find things like that. There we go. All the images that are called habitat in some way, then they show up. You can look at them by date as well. You can upload a new file by clicking Upload Files and select Files. And then this is just your normal menu for normal file manager type system for finding things on your computer. We can put in here whatever we want. And we get something uploaded there. Let's delete those words. That's what our problem is there. We've got some nothing hands, not something we actually need, but we'll insert it there for the moment. And we insert that, and it's there on the page. Let's get rid of that first one. Right now this is centered, see? Align center. And you can make it so that it aligns to the left or aligns to the right, or that there's no alignment at all. We're going to keep it centered right now. If you want to change the size of this and you say, hey, you know, it turns out this is too big, you can go in here and there's some preset sizes, full size, large, medium, thumbnail, but you can also go in here and make a custom size and make it whatever you want. And you can just mess around with that. You don't need to know exactly what size 400 pixels wide is, but you can just go in and test it out, see if it looks good. Once you're ready to give it a try, you can always click preview over here. You see, nothing we've done so far has made this live. It's just a draft right now, essentially, although we haven't even saved it as a draft yet, actually. And so we can just preview it here and say, hey, is that looking like what we want it to look like? And we can say yes. That is beautiful. We've got our link here. We've got our nice image. Everything is looking good. But what we need is we need a form underneath there. And so we click Add a Form. And so we're going to add our contact form. Generally, I don't have the form title or the form description as a part of that. And I do enable Ajax just out of custom. It won't really make much of a difference on any of the forms you have on your website. But now we have our form down there and it pops up just perfectly. But I want more. I want it to be that I can have a responsive accordion within there. And so I'm going to pick my FAQ one because that's the only one that I have right now. And so I have that underneath. And then I'm going to take it a step further. And we're going to add in Slider Revolution. And so we're going to put this in there. And it's going to be underneath all those other things. We're just going to have a beautiful page over here, or it's a post I guess we're working on right now, huh? And so we have our nice little FAQs here. We have our nice slideshow. We have the comments because they're not disabled on this particular part of it right now. And everything is showing up as we want it to. Now, we want it to be that we can have some of these posts, and I think probably all of them, that are going to be showing up on the home page and on the blog. That's the way you're using them right now, right? So then you have to pick the category of news so that it will show up there. And when you're doing that, you also need to set a featured image for it. And we're going to make it match the hands that we have there within the page. And we click Publish. And now because it's a post, then it's going to show up in all the right places on the website. We can go to the home page, and then now when we come down here, then we've got this nifty little section where it has everything that we had as a part of our text right there. Now it cuts off really short because we didn't have all that much text. Typically, the way that we have this set up is to just cut it off at a certain number of words, and then you can continue reading then after that. But it does line up there right in the spot that it should. We can also go to the blog, yeah, over here, and then it's within that as well. And it doesn't look the best because we have a very short title and because we don't have hardly any text. But it is there. It's part of our blog. It shows up as it should. We can click on here, and now it's a blog post as well. It's just beautiful, isn't it? But we won't keep that there. We know that's not something we want permanently, so we will delete that here in a moment. Let's go through the rest of the page here. And we have a tag section, not terribly important. You can add tags if you want to. They don't do a great deal. We have an SEO section here. The Genesis SEO settings aren't terribly valuable. We'll probably add Yoast SEO before you actually launch. That'll be a little bit more valuable. And we have Revolution slider options down here and scripts, and none of those things need to really matter all that much. These things that you don't need to be on there, then you can go up here and uncheck them from the screen options section here, and that way you don't have to worry about them ever again. And so now we come back down here, and then it's much cleaner, much easier to be able to navigate. And we can click update if we want to, but of course we don't really need to keep this updated because we're going to be moving it to the trash. Now when you move a post to the trash or a page, either one, then it doesn't go away permanently at that point. We come over here and we click on trash and we find that it's still there. If we're sure that we want to get rid of it forever, and in this case we are, then we can click delete permanently and it will be gone forever. And it's likely not recoverable. We do have backups of the site, but they only happen every 24 hours, and so this one is gone because we created it and deleted it too quickly to be caught within those backups. But typically we'll be able to help you out if you have something that you accidentally delete like that. If you want to make changes to a post, it functions in the same way. You can hover over whichever one it is and click Edit. And you can see the way things are set up here on this Tools for Life one. It has some links within it, and it has all the text. No images actually within the post itself. All we've done on this one is set the featured image, and that's the way you want to approach this for the image that goes at the top. If you need other images within the post itself, that's fine, of course. You can preview this over here and see what it's looking like. I thought we had it set up to be able to have the image up here. We'll have to get that set up to be that way. I think that would be preferable, but it's working as it should still mostly right now. We don't need to update it because everything is set well. If you ever need to add other categories, and I don't know that you would quite know at this point exactly how to do that, what you would need to do with those categories, but if you find yourself needing to, then you can do that here. If you have tags, you can add them here, or you can look to see everything that falls within a certain tag or a certain category by clicking on this little number over here. So the basics of how to use Post anyway, enough to get you started. Pretty much, you click Add New, you type in a title, you type in the content, and you make sure that it's marked as news if that's what it's going to be, and you set a featured image, and then you click Publish, and then you're good to go. Those are the basics of Post anyway. Now we're going to take a look at responsive accordion, and the wording's a little funky on here. It says all accordion and add new accordion. You click on all new accordion to see what you already have, and so we already have this FAQ set up. We're going to click edit so we can take a look at how this is set up. We have a lot of options over here of how you want it to function, and so do we want a section title, do we want it to open and close from the left or the right, do we want a close icon, and just on and on. All sorts of different options here on the right. This is set up basically in a way that we want it to be set up right now, with the right colors, with the right sizes, so that it works well. If you want to add in new questions, all you need to do is click Add New Accordion, and then this is a new question. This is a new answer. You can also change it over so that you can make changes with what you see is what you get editor, so it functions just like you would with a word processing type program. You can choose what icon you want to go along with this, and we never changed this one to a question mark, so let's do that. All the others were changed. There we go. And we can do the same over here if we wanted to. If we decide, nah, we don't want that question after all, then we can click the little trash can and it goes away, which is a good thing. And most of these other things you don't need to worry about here on the page. You click Update, and now your frequently asked questions have been updated, and we really do want them updated because we didn't have that question mark there before. Click Add New, and then you have all the same options over here, the same settings that you have to go through. You want to probably have the other original one opened up at the same time so you can make them match up basically. Unfortunately, there's no copy function within these accordions, and so you have to reset these settings every time. Although there's not so many, but it takes a little time. So you can just take a look at the one we already made and match it up with that, or you can make it different if you want to, and that's perfectly fine as well. You want to name it something that is easy to remember, that's not necessarily showing up on the page, but it's just so that you can make sure you can find it easily. Those are the basics of the responsive accordion, and you can use that, of course, on the frequently asked questions page as it's already implemented, but you can put it other places as well, as you please. Now we're going to take a look at events, and we can click all events and find that right now we don't have anything. So we're going to add an event right now so you can see the way that process works. And we will take it from the website here, and we know that we have some events coming up. Let's go with the tool belts and bow ties. Oh, I thought we had something on that. Which one do we have content for? Okay, here we go. Well, that one doesn't really have a location, but we'll go and do that one anyway. So we click Add New, and we call it Give Ozarks Day, and it's going to be an all-day event, it appears. So we click All Day. If you needed to add a time, then it's very simple. All you do is click over here and you choose your time. For the date over here, then this is done in the way that the rest of the world does dates, which is by putting the day first and the month second. So that's actually June 10th, not October 6th. So just watch out for that. If you just click this little icon, then it's easy enough to know what you're clicking on. In this case, it's going to be an all-day event, and the date for it is May 3rd, 2016. And so that's in the past. Let's go ahead and make it for next year, and we'll say that it's going to be the equivalent date. And this might not be where it's actually settled on. But we will make it on, let's see, this was a leap year this year, right? So then we need to go forward one day. So then that will be May 4th, 2017. You pick your time zone. Once you've set it initially, then your future ones will show up as Chicago initially. And you can set it so it repeats. And we can make this repeat every year, every March, every April, weekly. We're not going to make this one repeat right now because it won't necessarily say the same every time. If you want to have a mapped location here, which we won't in this case, it's hosted by the Community Foundation of the Ozarks, but there's no exact location. Then you would give it a venue name, and then you would put in an address over here, and it will help you out. And soon you will have an address. And if you want it to be that on that event page, then there's a map, then you click Show Map. And then we have event organizers. I suppose we'll take all this stuff off since it's not actually going to be a real part of it. We can actually use this event. We have an event cost, and there's no cost with this. That's not how this functions, so it's a free event, and there's no tickets associated with it. You can put organizer contact info here, and we don't have exact info for those first three things, but we do have a website. I think there was an actual exact one. We'll just go with this for right now, though, and go with the link that was within that page. can add any additional information down here. And we've added that. I guess we can make it exactly that. There we go. We have custom fields down here. Don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about discussion. Author won't make a difference in this case. Don't need to worry about Revolution slider. You can set a featured image, and we can make it Give Ozarks. And so we have set the featured image. Don't need to add a category for what we're doing right now. We could do that as a part of events, but that's not something we're worried about at this point. And then you click Publish, and it has become live. And so now, if you go over here to the calendar, I went to the wrong page. I had that linked up wrong. Sorry about that. There we go. It shows up right now as an agenda style thing. I think we'd probably prefer to have that as a calendar view. You can make that change very simply over here. And so right now we have these available views, and we have it set up so that on desktop you could look at any of those. And so that means that by clicking on month, then now we can look at it by the month. But that's not what's set up by default. We want to make that the default. And so we've changed that there, and we want to keep the agenda on mobile because the big calendar doesn't work so well if you're looking at it on mobile. So we'll leave it the same on that part. And then we can click Save Settings. And now, next time, when we go into the calendar page, then that's how it loads automatically. And from now on it will. And you can click from one month to the next. And if we were to go all the way to next May, and we were to keep going, then we would end up in a place where we had that event that we had made. We better go there just so we can take a look at it. Shouldn't have made an event that was so far off, but I didn't really know the order of these events. And here we go. Give Ozarks Day. So you have the info right there within that little pop-up box, but you can also click on it, and then you come in here, and you've got the information. If there was registration, then you could click on it. We have the event website. You go into the Community Foundation of the Ozarks. Everything's working basically as it should. Once you've made events, then you can go back in here and take a look at them, edit them. You can clone them if there's one that you have that's similar, and you can trash them to get rid of them completely. View them, quick edit, all these things. That's how you make the changes. There are quite a few other changes you could make over here. Most of them aren't anything that you need to be worrying about too much. You can change out some colors. There we go. You can change out some colors, change out some basic settings. You can take a look through those if you want to at some other time. This covers enough of it that you should be able to get started. Being able to add events is the most important part, of course, and I think you should be able to pick up on that pretty quickly. This is our media section here. Like we said before, this is just a way to look at it all at once. You can add them here or delete them here, but typically you'll be doing it within a post or within a page or a widget, like we've already shown some on the post. Now we're going to take a look at forms. And if we click on forms here, we'll see that we have two that are already set up. If we want to take a look at the community partner ones, we click on edit, and it has name, email, company name, subject, message. The reason it has those fields is that's what was already on the old website, but you can add whatever else you want in here as well, and it's very simple. You want to add a drop-down menu, then you just click on drop-down menu, and we have a new choice. And we have first choice, second choice, third choice. Type whatever you want into there. Add as many as you want to add. You can make it so that it's required, or if it's unchecked, then not required. Over here you can change the size of it, small, medium, large. A few other advanced settings over here. Some fun stuff you can do with conditional logic so that things only pop up if they've selected a certain other option prior to that time. If you want to make it live, you click Update Form. We've got this little preview here. And you would think at the bottom here we would see a drop-down menu. Unfortunately, that's not how Gravity Forms works. Even though Gravity Forms is by far the best forms program out there for WordPress, then it doesn't work well with its preview. And so its preview is not really a preview. It only becomes a previewable form once you click Update. But if you click Update, then it's also live on the website. So you got to make your changes a little more carefully and maybe schedule them at times you don't think it's as likely that people would actually be using the form if you're doing anything like that. Now we can choose whichever one of those choices we want, and it won't look like this on the website itself. Then instead it's going to I don't remember where Community Partners is on this right off, but it will show up with the right formatting just like Contact Us does. Just like Contact does right here. And so it'll look like this, even though we have a little bit different formatting going on in this little preview. But we don't want to have that, so we're going to click X, and it's gone. And now we click Update Form, and everything's back to normal. Under Form Settings, then we have a few options. Some of them are relevant, some of them not. You might want to change this out from Submit to Let's Go or Contact Us, exclamation point, or some other thing. But you can change it out to whatever text you want to be at the bottom. The name here is Community Partners, and those are the main things you want to be worrying about. You should always enable anti-spam honeypot. Click Update Form, and now that's enabled. Excuse me. And we have confirmations over here, and this is what happens once they have submitted the form. And they get a little message that says, "Thank you for contacting us. We will get in touch with you shortly." You can change that out to whatever text you want, or you can send them to a different page on your site, or you can redirect them to an outside page, whatever makes sense for what you're doing at that time. Notifications are what alert you to a form being submitted. And so right now we have it set up as admin email, which happens to be mine, but you can add in whatever email address you want there. You can even make it so that different people get an email based on what is entered in these different sections. You can change which fields show up down here. So if you don't want everything in the email every time, you can just choose the ones that you actually care about seeing. And whenever you've made the changes you want to, you click Update Notifications. Any entries that are made, you can see over here under Entries. And we don't have any yet for this one, and probably not for any of them. They'll be saved here unless you delete them. And so it's convenient. You don't need to worry about it if somehow you accidentally delete it from your email, or somehow it doesn't get through to your email, then it's still always here for you to look at. The settings for forms aren't anything you need to worry about. Import, updates, add-ons, help. No concern there. If you want to add a new form, of course you click New Form. We saw before on Post how to add that into a post, and it works the same within Pages. And in a moment we'll be taking a look at how to add it within widgets. And all those things are very simple, very easy to use. Now we're going to be taking a look at Pages. And if we click at all pages, we see that we have a lot of pages. A lot of pages on this website, huh? And many of them are relevant, not absolutely every one. And then we can go into these though, and you can see that these function basically the same as what posts do. In fact, almost exactly identical on this website. And so there's really not much more to say. Everything that you learned on Post should be able to be applied here. And so if you haven't already taken a look at the Post section of this video, then take a look at that now. You should be able to understand how to do it. And you edit almost everything from here with the exception of the home page and a couple of other pages that are partially controlled from here, partially not. But pretty much by default you can know that you go to this area here to make changes to the pages. Not going to worry about comments right now, not going to worry about Genesis. Under Appearance, then we have Widgets. I'm going to take a look at Widgets, and under Widgets we have all these different sections, but they just control the home page, the header, and the footer. It says header right up here. It's a misnomer. It's actually just for the header. So we have the logo here. If you want to change the logo at some point, you click Choose an Image. You can change it out to whatever you want it to be. You want it to be the same dimensions, or if it is different dimensions, you want to contact us because it will change the way that your site fits together. And it has a link down here so that it goes back to the home page. We have a custom menu here. Custom menu just simply means we're going to insert a menu onto this part of the page, and that's the main menu that we have on the home page. If you want to change that to a different menu, you could, although that's not where you make any changes to the substance of the menu items themselves. We're not using a sidebar over on the right side. We're not using a sidebar anywhere else on the page either, for that matter. For Home-Top, all we have within there is Revolution Slider, and that is the large image area that comes at the top of the website. Building homes, building lives, etc., etc. If you want to change it to a different one, you can always choose it here. You don't really want to give it a title necessarily, so that wouldn't really be relevant for what you're doing with that one. For Home-Bottom, then we're looking at this section here, and we have 4 different spaces here. They all function through an image widget, and so you click the little arrow here, and we got the image. If you want to trade it out to something else, you can click Choose Image. You want it to be that they are the same basic dimensions as what these are, which is square. So as long as they're at least 400 by 400 and they are the same width as they are height, then everything will be fine. If you get outside of that, then they might not be so fine. So try to stick within those parameters and everything else should be okay. We have the link text here. We have the text itself. So by link text, what we're saying is down here we have like volunteer, learn more, learn more, learn more. And this is where we want it to link to. And this is the text that goes along with it. You can change out the text in this section. You don't want to go too crazy. If you go too long, if you go too short, it might start to look kind of weird next to these guys here. Now it's fine to have them a little different, but if they get too crazy, it might look a little funky. So you probably want to avoid that. Whenever you want to make a change to these, you just click save and then it will become live on the website. We have home bottom 2, and this is our news section. This part that says latest news, that's just a title. That's all we're using this for here. So nothing else down here matters right now, although you could add some text under it if you wanted to. But latest news is all we're using it for, just to show that title. And then we have these 2 different featured post widgets that make it so that we have 4 stories. I think we're lighting up sideways so that the first one here is this one, and then the second one is this one here, I believe. But this is set up automatically. There's no particular reason that you need to be changing anything a great deal in here, although you could if you want to. If you don't want it to be by date and you'd rather do it in alphabetical order, you could, or you want to have random posts show up in that spot, you could do that as well. And that would be okay. You could do that, but probably you're going to want to keep it basically the way that it's set up right now. Don't have anything in subfooter left, nothing in subfooter right. In footer 1, we've got the bottom navigation menu. That's this menu right here. Again, you don't make any changes directly here in the widgets section to that. That just chooses which menu it is that's showing up in that spot. In footer 2, that's our section that comes up next. Contact us, mailing address, and social media. And so we've got that information in here. Change it out to whatever you want. Make any adjustments that need to be made. You have your mailing address here, and everything's good there too. We got social media. If you have other accounts you want to add, just enter in their addresses, and then they will be added there on the page as well. For footer 3, then we have this little section of let's see, I guess we have them combined together. So part of it is the mission statement, and then part of it is the little images that link to these different organizations that you're a part of. And so we have the mission here, seeking to put God's love into action, etc. And then we have the images. If you need to change them out to something else. They can be whatever dimensions, and it's not a big deal as long as they're not super tiny. And we don't have anything in footer 4 or after entry. The things from the header and from the footer show up on every page. And other elements only show up on the home page. The other things we looked at there only show up on the home page. Now we're going to be taking a look at menus. And under menus, then this functions in this stacked way like this. If you want to change which thing is where, then you click on it and you drag it around. Wherever you want it to go, then you can drag it there. I think that was the order it was in. Now I can't even remember, but if you want to change it later on, that's perfectly fine, of course, and we're probably not even going to save it. But these are the very biggest ones, right? The very top ones, so get involved, right there, right? And then our programs, and restore, and about us, and donate. Then underneath them we have the submenus, and that's volunteer, donate, and events for get involved. Volunteer, donate, and events. And then beneath them, then we have even more menu items. And that's what shows up down in this section here. If you want to add anything new, then you can do it from this section over here. You can add pages, posts, custom links, or categories. For the pages here, you can search for what you're looking for, or you can view all of them and just scroll through. When you want one, then you check it there and click add to menu, and then you can drag it up wherever you want it to go. Nothing we're doing right now is live. We have to click save before anything would happen. You can just line it up wherever you want. You can click remove if you don't want it there. For posts, the same thing. Custom links, you just type in the address that you want it to go to, and then you click add to menu. You can always change out the names of these afterward. So the navigation label, you can change it to something else. And we have categories down here, and you can make it so that you have it linked to the news category and add that instead. Once you're ready to save it, you click Save, and it becomes live throughout the site. I'll also take a quick look at the bottom nav here. It works exactly the same. And so you just add in whatever you want, delete whatever you want, and you're good to go. And then whenever you're ready to make it live, again, you just click Save. The rest of the things over here in this appearance section, you don't need to worry about much, probably not at all. So if you're trying to make a change and it involves going to some other section of this, you're probably doing it wrong. And so it'd be better to give us a call if you can't quite figure out how to make a change on your own. Plugins, those are those little bits of software like we talked about earlier. Not much of a need to go into that too much right now. No more detail. Contact us, that's probably the best way. You can do it on your own, and you can experiment, and that's perfectly fine, but you're probably going to have the best luck contacting us about that. Under users, then right now we only have one user, and that is me. So if we want to add a new user, we simply click Add New, fill in this basic information, give them a username, give them an email, those things are required. The first name, last name, you can add that if you want to, but you don't have to. A website for that person, you can, but you don't have to. The password here, you click Show Password, and you get this automatically generated one. And that is the best way to go because it is a very secure password. And you'll notice that you will never, ever be able to memorize that, which also means that your account will most likely never, ever be hacked. And that is a much safer place to be. If you want to type in a simple password, then it will say that it's very weak. And then you have to click this little checkbox that says confirm use of weak password, and that's not something we want. So you're welcome to make up your own password, but it should be something complicated so that it says strong, and then everything is good to go. Down here the role is by default subscriber, but that's not what you want to use hardly ever, maybe never. And so then we want to click on administrator instead, and that's what we're going to use. Then you click Add New User, and then that person becomes a new user, and they have full access to the site if they are an administrator, so they can control everything. So you do want to be a little careful about who you're giving access to, but for the most part that probably won't be a problem. I'm sure you have good systems in place for such a thing. If you ever want to make changes to a person's profile, you can click Edit and fill in all this information. Most of it isn't necessary for this site, but you could do it if you want to. Tools aren't terribly useful, nothing more to see there. The only thing under settings you might want to take a look at is, right here we have a site title of Springfield Habitat. We'll go ahead and make it For Humanity. And then you can have a tagline down here, and it makes it so that there are a few extra words that go after that. It also makes a difference on your search results on Google. As far as on this page, then if you hover over this, then you get the rest of those words. And now it says a few extra words. If you want some extra words there, go for it. You can add them in there, something more to describe who you are. You can change the admin email address. Most of the time that's just for technical purposes, but you can change it to yours if you want, and that is fine. We'll save this. I actually do want to disable comments on here. And I thought we'd already done that, but it looks like we hadn't before. I guess we need to do it through Genesis, so we'll change that in a bit. You don't need to worry about that then. We'll get that disabled though anyway, unless you all want to have a comment system, but I doubt that you will. Now we're going to take a look at Slider Revolution. And we have this leftover one from before, which we don't really need anymore, so we'll delete that. Let's leave it on there for now, just in case. And you can click on here, and then you can see that we have our one slide set up within this. If you want to change the wording, then it's very simple. You double click, change out the wording, type in whatever more you want, take out whatever you want, no big deal. Same thing on any of these parts here. You just change out the wording to whatever you want. If you want to change the size of the font, then you've got font size settings up here. You can change the font itself here by choosing something else. Click this little arrow and you got a lot of other options here. You can make it so that the whole thing is italicized. You can give it a different background color. You can rotate it, transform it, give it a border, all different things. Play with it as much as you want. We've got an animation set up here. Let's undo the color stuff we did on that. Oh, it's too late. We already went to no screen, so we can't do it. Got this animation, that's how it comes in. And you can also control the animations as far as their timing down here, and you can see this is a little just showing when each one comes in. So first we have the background shape come in, and then the building homes, building lives. This one is actually the main text. Let's call it something different. And that's that right there. And we've got our donate button, and we show how each one of those works. You can change this out to do something else. You can make it slide mask from top. You can make it so that it comes in long from the left. Whatever you want it to do, and it'll give you a little preview of how that's going to look. You can add in new parts to this, new images. You can add in new text layers, new shapes, whatever you need to do in that regard, it's fine. You can experiment with it, and you'll be able to figure out a lot of that on your own. If you need to have more help with that, we're happy to give you that help. We don't have parallax set up right now. We don't have Ken Burns, so it's not zooming in as it's playing on there. If you want to look how this is going to be on each side of the screen, then you can click here. And so we have like a desktop, laptop, tablet, and a phone. So then we go over here, and things have been adjusted just a little. But then here they've been adjusted quite a bit. And if you find that something's not lining up quite right, then you can adjust it here, move it around a little, wherever you want it to be. And then it doesn't impact what was on the previous page. It only impacts, or on the previous size, it only impacts right there. And now we have it here on the smallest size. All those are set up okay right now on this main one. You won't need to worry as much about this since you are only having the single image that you're having on there. If you want to change the main image, that's important, right? And then you just click there and you choose whatever image you want. And then you can insert it, and now we've got our new image in there. That image clearly isn't large enough. There's no precise size that is the minimum, but I would suggest something that is at least 1,000 pixels wide and some amount tall, 600 pixels. You're going to want to pick a high quality image for this regardless, and you'll know. If it's blurry, you know you've done something wrong, right? So pick out an image that's clear, and then you don't want it to be terribly large file size either, because then that will slow down your page load time for your people who are wanting to find out more about Springfield Habitat for Humanity. Lots of other things you can do within here. Let's see. Oh, the links. Let's look at the links. So to make this link to somewhere, right now it's linked to the donation page, and you come up here to actions, and it's all set up here. You just replace the link to something else if that's what you'd like to do. Whenever you want to make it live, you click Save, and that becomes live on the page. There are some overall settings for the slider that you can see over here. And this is not just for that one individual slide, but for everything. And you can explore these, you can experiment with them. If you want it to be that there's a shadow underneath it, you want it to be there's a spinner as it's loading, or you want to be able to have it load things a little bit differently. That won't make any difference in this case because we only have one image loading, so it's a little different. That's probably a little high right there. And so ideally we would have that image be maybe more like 300. But it's fine. We want to make sure it's clear, and we only have one, so we can get away with it this time. Last thing, we want to take a look at Google Map. And with this, then you first set up a location. And so one of the locations we have set up already is Springfield Habitat for Humanity. But if you have other locations that you need, then you can add them in as well by clicking Add Location. And you enter in the location title, the address, and it fills in the rest of this automatically once you have that address part of it done. You can make it so that something pops up when you hover over or click on the little flag that drops down, or you can make it redirect to another website. And then you click Save Location, and it becomes another option to be added to a map. And so we already have one set up here for Contact Page. And you have a few settings here that you can control. Contact Page is the title. The width we're just leaving as it is because we want it to be the full width of the screen at all times, or however much space is available in whatever place you put it. And then the map height, we're going to have it 340, but you can just mess around with those numbers and try to get them right. You can change in how much it's zoomed, the type of map that it is, lots and lots of fun settings. We have this checked off here so this location shows up on the map. And then once we know we have everything just right, we click Save Map. And then, if you go over here and you look at Manage Maps, notice a little short code. A short code is in these brackets, and it means a small little piece of code that does something bigger. So we'll click New Post here, just so we can see how this works. And all you do is just paste it right in there, and then we can preview it, and the map is there. And that is hopefully Springfield Habitat for Humanity. It says it is. It looks like it is to me. And that's where I remember it being, roughly. So then that's probably the place. And we don't need this, so we'll move it to the trash. And that is an overview of how to use WordPress. It's a lot of information, a lot to take in, and we understand that. We're happy to help out anywhere along the way, and we can respond to text, emails, phone calls, whatever is easiest for you, and we'll help you out as soon as we can. Make sure that you get onto a good path toward having the website that you want, the website that you should have for the quality of organization that you have with Habitat for Humanity. We look forward to talking to you soon. Hope you have a good experience with this training.